The day I handed my daughter the keys to that villa, I thought I was giving her freedom. I thought I was handing her the one thing I never had, a foundation, a place to build her dreams, a home that no one could ever take from her. I remember the way her eyes sparkled when she held those keys in her trembling hands, the way she hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Mama," she whispered into my shoulder, "you didn't have to do this." But I did. I had to. Because for 32 years, I had worked my fingers raw, saved every dollar, sacrificed every comfort. Also, my baby girl could have something solid beneath her feet. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have possibly known, was that by sunset of that same day, everything I had built for her would be stolen. Not by strangers, not by thieves in the night, but by the man who stood beside her at the altar and promised to love her forever. Before we get into this story, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. My name is Lorraine Mitchell, and I am 61 years old. I grew up in a 2-room apartment in the south side of Chicago with my grandmother, a woman who cleaned other people's houses 6 days a week and still found time to braid my hair on Sunday mornings. She used to tell me, "Lorraine, a woman without property is a woman without power. You get yourself something that's yours, baby. Something nobody can take." Those words lived in my bones. They shaped every decision I ever made. When I was 23, I married a man named Curtis who swept me off my feet with his smile and his promises. By 26, I had a daughter named Imani and a husband who found comfort in other women's beds. By 28, I was divorced alone, and determined to prove that I didn't need a man to build a life worth living. And I did build that life. I worked double shifts at the hospital as a registered nurse for over 3 decades. I took every overtime opportunity. I wore the same coat for 7 winters. I drove the same car until the engine gave out twice. Every sacrifice, every moment of exhaustion, every time I wanted to give up, I thought of Imani. I thought of the day I would hand her something that would change her life. That villa wasn't just a house. It was proof. Proof that a black woman from nothing could create something. Proof that my grandmother's words were true. Proof that love, real love, shows up in what you build, not just in what you say. Imani was my everything. From the moment the nurses placed her in my arms, I knew my life would never be the same. She was such a gentle child. Always drawing pictures, always singing, always finding beauty in the smallest things. When she was 7, she told me she wanted to be an artist. When she was 17, she got accepted into art school on a partial scholarship. When she was 24, she met Marcus. Marcus Davis. Even now, saying his name feels like swallowing glass. He was charming. Lord, was he charming. He had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. He opened doors. He pulled out chairs. He called me Ma from the very first dinner, and I'll admit, I liked it. I liked the way he looked at my daughter, like she was the sun, and he was just grateful to be in her light. I liked the way he talked about the future, about building something together, about giving Imani the life she deserved. What I didn't see, what I refused to see, were the cracks beneath the surface. The way his eyes would flicker when Imani disagreed with him. The way he'd make small comments about her friends, isolating her slowly, so slowly that none of us noticed until it was too late. The way he never once offered to pay for anything when I was around, always letting Imani reach for the check, always letting her carry the weight. They got married when Imani was 27. It was a beautiful ceremony, small, intimate, held in the backyard of my little house. I remember standing there watching my daughter walk down that makeshift aisle, and I cried like I had never cried before. I thought I was crying tears of joy. Looking back now, I wonder if some part of me knew. Some part of me was mourning something I couldn't name yet. For 3 years after the wedding, things seemed fine. Imani was working as a graphic designer. Marcus was doing something in sales. He was always vague about the details, and I learned later that sales meant he bounced from job to job, never lasting more than a few months anywhere. They lived in a small apartment, and every time I visited, I noticed things. Little things. The way Imani's smile didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. The way she'd flinch when Marcus raised his voice, even if he was just laughing at something on TV. The way she stopped painting, stopped singing, stopped being the vibrant girl I raised. But whenever I asked, she'd say, "I'm fine, Mama. Just tired." You know how it is. And I wanted to believe her. God help me. I wanted to believe her so badly that I convinced myself I was imagining things. Then 3 months before her 30th birthday, I made a decision that would change everything. I had been saving for years for something special, something that would give Imani stability no matter what happened in her life. I found the villa through a colleague whose family was selling their vacation property. It was a beautiful 4-bedroom house on the outskirts of Atlanta, with a garden and a wraparound porch and enough space for Imani to finally have a studio. I put down every penny I had saved. I signed the papers. I put the deed in Imani's name alone, not Marcus's, just hers. I wanted her to have something that was completely her own, something no one could take. The day I gave her those keys, we were sitting on my porch drinking sweet tea. It was a Thursday in late September, and the air was just starting to cool. I handed her the envelope with the deed inside, and I watched her face as she realized what it was. "Mama," she breathed, her hands shaking. "Mama, this is a house. You bought me a house." "I bought you a home," I corrected, pulling her into my arms. "Something that's yours, baby. No matter what happens. This is yours." She cried. We both cried. And for that moment, everything felt perfect. Everything felt right. What I didn't know was that Marcus was watching from the window. What I didn't know was that he had already made a phone call. What I didn't know was that by the time the sun set on that beautiful Thursday, everything would begin to fall apart. Imani and Marcus moved into the villa the following weekend. I helped them unpack, arranged furniture, hung curtains. I remember standing in that living room, looking at the light streaming through the windows, and feeling so much pride. This was it. This was the legacy I was leaving my daughter. This was proof that all those years of sacrifice meant something. Marcus was unusually quiet that day. He smiled when he needed to, said the right things when I was listening, but there was something in his eyes I couldn't read. I should have paid more attention. I should have trusted my instincts. But I was so caught up in the joy of the moment that I let it go. It was 3 days later when I got the first call. "Mama?" Imani's voice was small, hesitant. "I need to tell you something." My heart stopped. "What is it, baby? What's wrong?" "Marcus's mother is coming to stay with us. Just for a little while. She's having some problems with her apartment, and Marcus said we have the space now, so." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. His mother? When? "She's already here, Mama. She got here this morning." I was silent for a long moment. "Imani, I gave that house to you. Not to Marcus. Not to his family. To you." "I know, Mama. I know. But she's his mother." What was I supposed to say? "You were supposed to say no." My voice was sharper than I intended. "That's your house, Imani. Your name is on that deed. You have the right to decide who lives there." "It's just temporary," she said, and I could hear the strain in her voice. "Just until she figures things out. It'll be fine. I promise." It wasn't fine. Over the next 2 weeks, I called Imani every day. Every conversation was shorter than the last. Every time I asked how things were going, she gave me the same answer. "Fine, Mama. Everything's fine." But I could hear it in her voice. The exhaustion, the stress, the something she wasn't telling me. Finally, I decided to drive down and see for myself. I pulled up to the villa on a Saturday morning, unannounced. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were 3 cars in the driveway. 3 cars that didn't belong to my daughter. As I walked up to the front door, I could hear voices inside, loud voices, laughing, arguing. I knocked, but no one answered. So I used the spare key Imani had given me and let myself in. The sight that greeted me is burned into my memory forever. My daughter, my beautiful, talented, brilliant daughter, was on her hands and knees scrubbing the kitchen floor. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. Her clothes were stained. And standing over her, arms crossed, mouth twisted in disapproval, was a woman I had never seen before. "You missed a spot," the woman said, pointing at the floor with a long fingernail. "Do it again." Imani didn't argue. She just nodded and went back to scrubbing. "Imani." My voice came out hoarse, broken. "What is going on here?" She looked up at me, and I saw it. The shame, the fear, the helplessness. "Mama, I didn't know you were coming." The woman turned to look at me, her eyes narrowing. Who are you? I'm her mother, I said, my voice shaking with barely contained rage. Who the hell are you? I'm Gloria Davis, Marcus's mother. And this is my house now. Something inside me snapped. Excuse me? I stepped forward, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. This house belongs to my daughter. I bought it for her. Her name is on the deed. Not yours. Not your son's. Hers. Gloria laughed, a cold, ugly sound. That's not what Marcus told me. He said this house was a gift to both of them. And since we're family now, what's theirs is ours. That's how family works, isn't it? I looked around the kitchen, really looked. There were dishes piled in the sink, dirty pots on the stove. The trash was overflowing, and my daughter was on her knees, cleaning it all up while this woman stood there giving orders. Imani, I said slowly, fighting to keep my voice calm. Get up. Get your things. You're coming home with me. She's not going anywhere. Gloria stepped between us, her face hard. She has responsibilities here. She has a family to take care of. A family? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. A family doesn't treat someone like a servant. A family doesn't make a woman scrub floors in her own home while they watch. What kind of family is this? Mama, please. Imani was on her feet now, her eyes pleading. Don't make a scene. Marcus will be upset. I don't give a damn if Marcus is upset. My voice echoed off the walls. This is your house, Imani. Yours. And I will not stand here and watch these people treat you like you're nothing. That's when Marcus walked in. He was wearing a tailored shirt and expensive shoes, clothes I knew my daughter had paid for. His face was calm, controlled, but his eyes were cold. Lorraine, he said smoothly. What a surprise. Imani didn't mention you were coming. I wonder why, I shot back. Maybe because she was too busy being your family's maid. That's not fair. He moved to stand beside his mother, presenting a united front. Imani offered to help out while my mother gets settled. Nobody's forcing her to do anything. Is that true, Imani? I turned to my daughter, searching her face. Did you offer? Or did they tell you this was your duty? She couldn't meet my eyes. It's complicated, Mama. No, baby. It's not complicated at all. I took a step toward her, my voice softening. You are worth more than this. You deserve better than this. I didn't work my whole life so you could end up on your knees in your own home. She's being dramatic, Gloria muttered. Just like Marcus said she would be. I whipped around to face her. What did you just say? You heard me. Gloria's chin lifted defiantly. Marcus warned us about you. Said you were controlling. Said you couldn't stand to see your daughter happy with another family. The words hit me like a physical blow. I looked at Marcus, and for the first time, I saw him clearly. I saw the manipulation, the calculation, the cruelty hiding behind that charming smile. He had been poisoning my relationship with my daughter for years, and I hadn't even known it. Is that what you've been telling them, Marcus? My voice was quiet now, dangerous. That I'm the problem? That I'm the one who's controlling? He shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. I just told them the truth. That you've never approved of me. That you've always tried to keep Imani away from my family. That you think you're better than us because you bought some house. I bought that house for my daughter. Not for you. Not for your mother. Not for whatever other relatives you've moved in here. I gestured around the room. Who else is living here, Marcus? How many people have you invited into my daughter's home? His expression flickered. Just for a moment, but I caught it. That's not your business. It is my business. Because I'm the one who paid for it. But you didn't put your name on the deed, did you? His smile widened. You put Imani's name. And Imani is my wife. Which means this house is half mine. That's not how property law works, I said. The deed is in her name alone. You have no legal claim to this house. Maybe not legally. Marcus stepped closer, lowering his voice. But Imani would never go against me. Would you, baby? I looked at my daughter. She was standing there, arms wrapped around herself, shoulders hunched. She looked so small, so defeated, so unlike the vibrant, confident girl I had raised. Imani, I said gently, You don't have to live like this. You can leave. You can come home with me. We can figure this out together. For a moment, just a moment, I saw something spark in her eyes. Hope. Possibility. Freedom. Then Marcus put his hand on her shoulder, and I watched that spark die. I'm fine, Mama, she said. Really? I appreciate you coming, but everything is fine. You should go. Imani. Please, Mama. Her voice cracked. Just go. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, looking at my daughter, trying to reach her through the wall that had been built around her heart. But she wouldn't meet my eyes. She wouldn't let me in. Okay, I finally said. I'll go. But Imani, this isn't over. I'm not giving up on you. I will never give up on you. I walked out of that house with my head held high and my heart in pieces. I bought that house for my daughter. Not for you. Not for your mother. Not for whatever other relatives you've moved in here. I gestured around the room. Who else is living here, Marcus? How many people have you invited into my daughter's home? His expression flickered, just for a moment, but I caught it. That's not your business. It is my business, because I'm the one who paid for it. But you didn't put your name on the deed, did you? His smile widened. You put Imani's name, and Imani is my wife, which means this house is half mine. That's not how property law works, I said. The deed is in her name alone. You have no legal claim to this house. Maybe not legally. Marcus stepped closer, lowering his voice. But Imani would never go against me. Would you, baby? I looked at my daughter. She was standing there, arms wrapped around herself, shoulders hunched. She looked so small, so defeated, so unlike the vibrant, confident girl I had raised. Imani, I said gently, you don't have to live like this. You can leave. You can come home with me. We can figure this out together. For a moment, just a moment, I saw something spark in her eyes. Hope. Possibility. Freedom. Then Marcus put his hand on her shoulder, and I watched that spark die. I'm fine, Mama, she said. Really? I appreciate you coming, but everything is fine. You should go. Imani. Please, Mama. Her voice cracked. Just go. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, looking at my daughter, trying to reach her through the wall that had been built around her heart. But she wouldn't meet my eyes. She wouldn't let me in. Okay, I finally said. I'll go. But Imani, this isn't over. I'm not giving up on you. I will never give up on you. I walked out of that house with my head held high and my heart in pieces. For the next 2 months, I barely slept. I called Imani every day, but she rarely answered. When she did, her conversations were short, guarded. She always had somewhere to be, someone waiting for her, something she couldn't talk about. I could hear the exhaustion in her voice, the sadness she was trying to hide. But every time I tried to help, she pushed me away. You don't understand, Mama, she said once. This is my family now. I have to make it work. At what cost? I asked. Imani, I've seen how they treat you. That's not family. That's servitude. You're exaggerating. Am I? When was the last time you painted? When was the last time you did something for yourself? When was the last time you felt happy? Silence. I have to go, Mama. Click. I spent those nights praying. I spent those days planning. Because I knew in my bones, that things were going to get worse before they got better. And I had to be ready. The call came on a Tuesday night. Mama. Imani's voice was barely a whisper. Mama, can you come get me? I was in my car before she finished the sentence. When I pulled up to the villa, the lights were blazing in every window. I could hear shouting from inside. Marcus's voice, loud and angry. I didn't knock. I didn't hesitate. I walked straight through that front door like I owned the place. Because in a way, I did. What I found inside stopped me in my tracks. The living room was destroyed. Furniture overturned. Pictures shattered on the floor. And in the middle of it all stood Imani, holding her cheek, tears streaming down her face. Marcus was standing over her, his hand still raised. Don't you ever talk back to me again, he was saying. Do you hear me? This is my house. These are my rules. You do what I say when I say it. Get away from my daughter. My voice was steel. Pure cold steel. Marcus turned to look at me, and for the first time, I saw fear flicker in his eyes. But he recovered quickly, that mask of charm sliding back into place. Lorraine, this isn't what it looks like. I know exactly what it looks like. I walked toward him slowly, deliberately. It looks like a coward who puts his hands on a woman because he can't control her any other way. She provoked me. There is no provocation that justifies this. I was standing in front of him now, looking up into his face. I want you out of this house. Tonight. He laughed. You can't make me leave. This is my home. No, I said quietly. It's not. And I'm going to prove it. I turned to Imani, who was still standing there, frozen. Baby, I need you to listen to me. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She nodded, tears still falling. Good. Now pack a bag. We're leaving. She's not going anywhere. Gloria had appeared from the hallway, arms crossed. She's part of this family. She has obligations. I didn't even look at her. Imani. Bag. Now. My daughter moved. For the first time in months, she moved without looking at Marcus for permission. She walked past him, past his mother, and disappeared down the hall. You're making a mistake, Marcus said. If she leaves, she's not coming back. I'll make sure of it. I smiled. It was not a kind smile. Marcus, I said softly, you have no idea what you've started. That night, I took Imani back to my house. I held her while she cried. I cleaned the bruise on her cheek. I listened while she finally told me everything. The months of emotional abuse, the constant criticism, the isolation from her friends and family. She told me how Marcus's mother had taken over the house completely, moving in 2 of her other children and their families. She told me how she was expected to cook, clean, and serve all of them while Marcus spent money they didn't have on designer clothes and expensive dinners. She told me how she had been made to feel worthless, invisible, like nothing she did was ever good enough. I'm so sorry, Mama, she whispered. I should have told you sooner. I was just so ashamed. You have nothing to be ashamed of, I said fiercely. None of this is your fault. None of it. But you worked so hard for that house. And I let them take it over. I let them. Listen to me. I cupped her face in my hands, looking into her eyes. That house was never about brick and stone. It was about you. It was about giving you something solid to stand on. And baby, you are still standing. You are still here. That's what matters. But what do I do now? Marcus isn't going to just let me go. He's going to fight. He's going to. Let him fight. I smiled. Because I've been preparing for this moment longer than you know. The next morning, I made some phone calls. The first was to my lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Patricia who I had known for 20 years. I explained the situation, and she got to work immediately. Within hours, she had drawn up papers for a restraining order and initiated divorce proceedings on Imani's behalf. The second call was to a real estate attorney. Remember how I said I put the deed in Imani's name alone? What I didn't mention was the clause Patricia had insisted I include. A clause that stated the property could not be sold, transferred, or encumbered without my written consent as long as I was alive. It was a protection I had put in place years ago, just in case. I never thought I would need it. But I thank God for it now. The third call was to Marcus. Lorraine. His voice was wary. I assume you're calling to apologize. Apologize? I laughed. No, Marcus. I'm calling to inform you that you have 48 hours to vacate the property at 247 Willow Lane. You, your mother, and anyone else you've invited to live in my daughter's home. You can't do that. That house is Imani's property, and according to the terms of the deed, I have final say over who resides there. I'm exercising that right now. You have 48 hours. This is ridiculous. My lawyer will. Your lawyer will tell you exactly what mine told me. That you have no legal standing. That the property belongs to Imani alone. And that if you're not out in 48 hours, I will have you removed by sheriff's deputies. I paused. Oh, and Marcus? The restraining order has already been filed. If you come near my daughter again, you will be arrested. Silence. You think you've won, he finally said. But this isn't over. You're right, I agreed. It's not over. But you are. I hung up the phone. True to his nature, Marcus didn't go quietly. He showed up at my house that night, pounding on the door, screaming threats. But I had anticipated this. I had already called the police, already had officers waiting around the corner. When he refused to leave, they arrested him on the spot, violation of the restraining order. It was the first of many nights he would spend in a cell. The divorce proceedings were ugly. Marcus contested everything, made accusations, tried to paint Imani as unstable and myself as controlling. But Imani found her voice. She stood in that courtroom and told her truth. Every painful, humiliating detail. She showed the judge photos of her bruises, records of Marcus's unemployment, evidence of his family's takeover of her home. By the time she was done, there wasn't a person in that courtroom who doubted what had happened. The judge granted the divorce. Marcus got nothing. His family was evicted from the villa the following week. I watched through the car window as Gloria Davis loaded her belongings into a rental truck, her face twisted with rage. She saw me watching, and for a moment our eyes met. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just looked at her and let her see exactly what I was feeling. Not triumph, but resolve. The resolve of a mother who would burn down the world to protect her child. Recovery was slow. Imani moved back into the villa, but it took months before she could walk through those rooms without flinching. The memories were everywhere. In the kitchen where she had scrubbed floors, in the bedroom where Marcus had raised his hand, in the living room where Gloria had lorded over her like a queen. But slowly, day by day, she reclaimed those spaces. She painted the walls bright colors. She hung her artwork on every surface. She filled the garden with flowers and the house with music. She started painting again. The first piece she completed after everything was a portrait of me. She gave it to me on my 62nd birthday, wrapped in brown paper, and tied with a simple ribbon. When I unwrapped it, I couldn't speak. It was me, but not just me. It was me as she saw me. Strong, fierce, unwavering. There was fire in my eyes and determination in the set of my jaw. At the bottom she had written a single word: foundation. Because that's what you are, Mama, she said. That's what you've always been. My foundation. I wept. I wept like I hadn't wept since the day she was born. It's been 2 years now. 2 years since that terrible day when I walked into my daughter's home and found her on her knees. 2 years since I watched her marriage crumble and her spirit nearly break. 2 years since I learned what kind of man Marcus Davis really was. Imani is thriving now. She has her own art studio downtown. Her work has been featured in 3 galleries. She teaches painting classes on the weekends to women recovering from domestic violence, helping them express the pain they can't put into words. She is stronger than she has ever been, not despite what happened, but because of it. Because she survived. Because she found the courage to walk away. Because she learned that her worth was never determined by how much she could give to people who would never give anything back. And me? I learned something too. I learned that love isn't just about what you build. It's about what you protect. I learned that sometimes the greatest gift you can give your children isn't a house or a legacy or a bank account. Sometimes the greatest gift is showing them what it means to fight. To stand up. To say enough when the world tells you to be quiet. I learned that a mother's job is never done, not really. We spend our whole lives building foundations for our children. And when those foundations are threatened, we become warriors. We become shields. We become fire. Marcus is somewhere in Ohio now, last I heard. Living with a cousin, working a dead-end job. His mother Gloria lost her apartment and had to move in with her daughter. The same daughter who treated Imani like a servant. I don't wish them ill. I don't think about them much at all, if I'm being honest. They're chapters in a story that no longer belongs to them. They're ghosts of a life my daughter has long since left behind. The villa still stands. Imani lives there with her new partner. A kind, gentle woman named Sharon who treats her like the treasure she is. They have 2 dogs and a garden full of tomatoes and a life filled with love and laughter and peace. Every time I visit, I walk through those rooms and I see something different. Not the memories of what was, but the promise of what is. I see my daughter's art on the walls. I see photographs of happy moments. I see a home, a real home, built on the ashes of something that tried to destroy her. I think about my grandmother often. I think about her words, the ones that lived in my bones for so long. A woman without property is a woman without power. She was right in a way. But I think she would have added something if she were here today. I think she would have said, a woman without people who love her. That's the real poverty. A woman without someone willing to fight for her. That's the real powerlessness. I fought for my daughter. I fought with everything I had. And in the end, the only smile that was wiped away was the one that never deserved to exist in the first place. The smile of a man who thought he could take what didn't belong to him, who thought he could break what wasn't his to break, who thought love was something you could steal rather than something you had to earn. He was wrong. And my daughter? She is free. If you're reading this, wherever you are, whatever situation you find yourself in, know that you are not alone. Know that you are worthy of love that lifts you up, not love that pushes you down. Know that it is never too late to walk away, to start over, to rebuild. And if you are a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a friend, know that sometimes the people we love cannot save themselves. Sometimes they need us to reach in and pull them out. It might be messy. It might be painful. It might cost us more than we ever imagined. But that's what love is. That's what love does. So I ask you, who are you fighting for today? And if the answer is no one, why not?